So I got home from Columbia yesterday, and I turned on my Lyft today. I said, let me go make some extra money. I got a new job starting on Monday. That's one of my vision board things I put up there that has not been checked off. But anyways, aside from that, I turned on Lyft and I said, let me go do Lyft. So today, I did Lyft. I went over to the Disney area in Orlando. Make a lot of money over there in that area at a certain time. And so while I'm there, I get a call, or I get a ping for a Lyft ride. This ride is going to be like $25. So I'm like, boom, let me just jump on this because, I like big rides. Like, I like to get out there and make my money really fast and then be able to get back home before all that traffic start up from all them hooligans and they start coming outside after 10 o'clock. So this $25 ride is for a middle-aged white YT woman. And she gets in a car. Well, she comes outside of where she is and she has all of her stuff, like a tons of bags. I'm just like, where is this lady going? I'm just like, so I look back at the address and I see I'm taking her to a location in Sanford, Florida, which is outside of Orlando. So I'm like, okay, well, whatever. So I opened the trunk, let her load up the trunk with her stuff that she could, and then she put everything else in the back seat with her. And when she got in there, I spoke to her. She spoke back very softly, and we began to ride. So I'm getting ready to turn up the music, and she says, "Are you married, ma'am?" Out the blue. And I had said, "I'm engaged." I said, "But I am divorced." She says, "Well, good for you." She said, "But if you asked me, I wouldn't even get married." So now I'm intrigued. So I'm saying, what's going on? Why would you discourage marriage? She said, because it's a joke on paper. Just like, okay. I was like, okay, well, I know a lot of people believe that, but tell me why that, is your belief. And then she went into her backstory. When I tell y'all, I'm gonna still go back to my never date just one sis. When I tell y'all, this is the story. So she say, her current divorced husband, that the divorce had just been fresh and final. So her getting all her things was her leaving the home that I picked her up from. And she was going to a small apartment in Sanford. And so she said that she had been in that home for the last 20 years with somebody who cheated on her for the 19 of the 20 years that they were together. I'm like, dang. And so she said their backstory included they started when they were younger. She met him when she was in her junior year of college. And he was a fraternity guy. She wasn't a sorority girl, but she liked going to a lot of the fraternity events. And so at one of the events, she actually was introduced to him. And they hit it off. And she said she did go home with him that night. And she was like, baby, when I tell you that was mistake number one. I'm like, oh. She said, but her going home with him that night didn't change how he viewed her. He still wanted to get to know her, learn her, be with her. So by the time they were seniors in college, she had done became pregnant with their first child. And she didn't want to have the child. But once he found out that she was pregnant, he had immediately went and told his mom and his father, and they encouraged her, to come and live with them, like literally leave college, come and live with him, get with them, and allow him to stay to continue college. So she said she thought about it, and she said it would be easier for her, even though Um, she wouldn't finish her degree, but by the second semester of her senior year, she did exactly that. She packed up and she moved in with the mother and the father of the boy. And so she was like, that was mistake number two, allowing them convince her that this was going to be some great situation. So she was like, now, while she was living with them, she was getting treated great. She was pregnant. They were taking care of all of her needs. She didn't have to have any health insurance. They paid all the bills because apparently he came from a well-to-do family. But she didn't know back in college, he was just sleeping with all type of women. So he done got her out of college, sent her to his parents' house. And he back in college just doing his damn thing. So he graduates college. Um, and he goes right into working at his father's company. Now, mind you, now she's getting ready to have birth, give birth. So he graduated college. I think she said he graduated in that May or something like that or whatever. And she ended up giving birth to their child, their first child. I think she said about August or September, one around there. And in the beginning, he was a great, father, because of course now both of them are living at the parents' home. He's a great, attentive father and boyfriend. He was doing a lot of helping her, adjust to the role of being a mom, a young mom. And then he ended up proposing to her, you know, after she returned home from giving birth. So she's in her mind, she think everything is just going great. Like she met a guy, they got together, she got pregnant, she had a baby, they got married. She's like, this is like an American dream that she's always, was looking for. Now, her background doesn't come from money. She comes from a little middle class family. And so her mother and daddy were on board with all of these changes. And so she was like, okay, let me do it. So boom, she was like, so years go by. She's playing the doting wife. They've now moved into their own 3-bedroom home with him, her, and the child in a nice 3-bedroom home in a very high functioning area. And in that home, she was playing housewife, so she didn't have no job. She just was a stay-at-home mom, and that was it. So she said she enjoyed the days when, he gave her his credit card. She'll be able to go do all types of shopping without any limits for her and her child. She met some other housewives in the neighborhood. It was just a great thing for her. That's what she was feeling like. So by the time she is 25 years old, she gets pregnant again. And she said that this was a very difficult pregnancy, a very stressful pregnancy, because this is when she learned that he had not once but twice cheated on her. One time with one of the housewives that she had been talking to in the neighborhood, and somebody else at the company where he worked, because I told you he worked for his daddy's company. Now he had to move up the ranks, and he was now the COO of that company. So now he had somebody at the company he was cheating with. So this crushed her, because now she's in her second pregnancy. It's stressful. He's in there, he's around there cheating and slanging his penis, all over the place with different women, and then coming home and sleeping with her. She had no clue. So after the second pregnancy, now they move into a bigger home, a 6-bedroom, 3-bath home that has a pool. But this home right here was purchased by him. And so the first home they was in was being rented, but now this home was purchased by him. So this is where they were going to be. So I'm listening to all this as I'm driving, just tuned in, just back and forth, looking in the review at this lady. Just cannot believe this, because we'll be sitting over here and we'll be swearing that we just getting done, all type of different ways and wrong and stuff. But it's by some broke dudes, you know what I'm saying? But this guy right here paid, you know what I'm saying? And these YT women going through the gamut, you know what I'm saying? They having to deal with and brush things under the rug that normally our whining selves, black women, we wouldn't do, But anyway, so now she has given birth to that child, dealing with these 2 infidelities, trying to figure out what she gonna do. But because her first child was already, I think, 3 or 4, and now she has this new child, Of course, now she feels compelled to try her best to work this out in the marriage to bring her husband's attention back to her only. So she had said she spoke to her mom about it. Her mom told her to disregard it. It had nothing to do with her. As long as he was paying the bills and taking care of her, she should turn a blind eye. But she said that she was kind of taken aback by her mom's response. She said when she talked to her dad about it, he basically said the same thing. Like, who cares? You know, that's just what men do. Men will never just be with one woman. So she said she asked her dad, well, have you ever cheated on mom? And he snickered, but he never answered the question. So that let her know the answer. So anyway, so she returned back to her life as doting housewife, acting as if the cheating didn't bother her. Years go by, she's raising the kids. He's still an attentive father. He's still being an attentive husband. She still has access to the credit cards whenever she wants to go shopping. She still, life hasn't changed. And then one day she said she was in the mall with both of her children, and some crazy woman walked up to her with an attitude and had said, call her by name. And she was like, I'm sorry, I've never seen you before. And so she just went into how that story went. How the lady had told her that she was she was her husband's side woman, and he promised her that he would leave the wife to come be with her. And since he didn't do it in enough amount of time, she told him that she was going to come and tell his wife. So now the lady walking through the mall with her two children, embarrassed like hell that this lady some unknown woman done approached her about sleeping with her husband. So she said she immediately got on the phone to call her husband and tore him a new ass through the phone. He told her to calm down and meet her at the house in like 30 minutes. So she ended up leaving the mall, going to the house, and when she got there, he was sitting in the living room, and he presented to her a diamond necklace of his apology. So she says that while he had given her many gifts throughout the years, he had never actually given her like a full diamond necklace. So she said she sat down, she heard him out, he apologized, he promised never to do it again. He said it was a one-time thing. He was drunk after leaving the bar with his friends, and then she thought about how him and her met back in college. So she said it kind of made sense. So she said she accepted his apology, accepted his apology gift, and life continued to move on. So she said she never heard from him or seen the woman again, and never was approached by any other women after that. So because she wasn't, she assumed that he stuck to his promise. He stopped cheating, and life moved on. So I'm like, okay, well, how, because I'm ready to get to, the goodbye. I said, how does that get you to where you are right now? She was like, I'm getting there. So time goes on. Now her children are in their teens. One's getting ready to go to college, and the other one's, still in high school. They was only, I think, like 3 or 4 years apart. So she, done did all her raising and all that to the kids. And here it is in her oldest child's 12th grade year. She finds out that her husband has been fraternizing and sleeping with the principal at her child's school. Now the principal is pregnant. This just doesn't stop. So she said now she is utterly embarrassed when this comes out, that there is now a possible outside child with the woman that is the head of the school that her children are in. So she says her oldest child was so embarrassed and so angry that he stopped going to school mid-year and started doing homeschool because he did not want to hear the ridicule and all of that stuff he had done. Came a long way from making friends and all this, and all of a sudden this mess right here happened. So he wanted to do homeschool. He didn't even want to be involved. And as soon as that school year was over, he shot out of there and went to college. And she said for the first year or two, he wouldn't come home. She said her other child by this time had done advanced to the 11th grade, and stayed in school, didn't do homeschool, but kind of the rumors and the talk and all that stuff had done died down and all that stuff. So she was able to deal with it. So she got through high school, and she was like in her 12th grade year of the daughter's 12th grade year, finds out again that the husband now has someone possibly pregnant from that company. It was just too much. Like, not only is he out here sleeping with multiple women, He just does it without condoms, right? And now he got, outside kids. He said she said the principal lady did have a little boy from him. DNA test came back that it was his child. She was like, she wanted so bad to live the marriage, but her last child was almost out of high school, and she didn't want to make that decision just yet until all of her kids was out of the house. So she said now that the person at the company was pregnant, she know for sure that she was getting out of that marriage because this was going too far. Two outside kids, now you have four kids. Now she has to worry about her kids trying to accept these new kids from random women that they have no relationship with. And I'm like, dang, lady, ooh, I see why you say don't get married. She was like, yeah, because it's a joke on paper. She said, it's a joke of the community. Everybody knew what was going on around me except me. And I'm like, yep, that's how it goes. So she said, okay, child, 12th grade, actually goes to the military, doesn't opt to go to college. So when her daughter leaves out to go to the military and she's good and she's there, 6 months later, she files for divorce. Now, she is assuming that this divorce is going to leave her very well off. You know what I'm saying? He had open infidelities. He had children. So she just knew that she was going to get this house. She just knew that she was going to get a substantial amount of money. But here we are now with me picking her up. What she got when this divorce was finalized was she was told that the house belongs to him. He purchased it, so she would have to leave it. On top of that, she got a lump sum alimony settlement of $1 million. And she says, while that's a lot of money, that's not enough to for her to even forget about all the cheating, the outside kids. She said the judge just wasn't on her side. And she later finds out that the judge is a part of the golf club that his father goes to. So what she thought she was going to be winning, she literally is taking losses across the board. She got this $1 million settlement for alimony, and that's it. And she had to leave the house. She had like 6 weeks to leave the house. So me picking her up, this was 3 weeks in. She finally had found her a little apartment in Sanford, and she was going there to continue living her life now as a single divorcee with 2 kids from a very cheating husband. She's middle-aged. She didn't see herself as beautiful anymore. She was doubted everything. She didn't have any job skills. She left college. She didn't have any degrees. She just didn't even know what she was going to do. And she said, a lot of my friends said, well, at least you got $1 million settlement. You should be good. And she said she looks at them like that's one of the jealous statements that she can never hear from someone she considers a friend. So she said, so I told you don't get married because you'll think that you're winning, and on paper you'll be losing because nothing will be in your name. So ladies, if you're finna be out here doing all that, hooping and hollering, you better make sure that stuff in your name. Your name got to be somewhere on it because you don't know who these men know. And that's why I say you better never date just one so that you don't end up choosing the wrong one to marry.